to send requests to the server and get information back without the page reloading, which is amazing. Okay, that's a whole deal breaker, or on what you can do. For example, I had an application at one time. It was kind of like this, and I wrote this for Eastern, and we'd have videos. So I had the video player sitting here, and then I had a search right here for videos because there's a whole bunch of them, and they could literally be typing something into the search to search for a certain video, and it would pop up a list of whatever videos they want. And the thing is it would do that while the video was playing. Well, I couldn't do that with pure PHP because as soon as you hit the search, what would happen? Page reload, everything starts all over again. But with Ajax, what it would do is it would go to the server here, run a call on the database here, and bring back that chunk of information and put it right in this area. That's what Ajax does, okay? It allows you to update parts of your web page without having to reload the whole thing. Asynchronous, that's what the asynchronous comes from. It's an asynchronous call. Now, one thing you have to understand with Ajax is here's your client right here. Well, lack of a better way to draw it. Here's your client right here, which is your computer, which on it has your browser, so I'll just write Chrome. It doesn't matter, any browser, okay? And here's the server. Now this is very important to understand because Ajax requires JavaScript. It absolutely must have JavaScript. Now, you will not have to write any JavaScript in this class. I'll write it all for you, okay? You have to read it and understand it, which I'll explain it to you, but you don't have to write it. Even for your project tonight, you won't have to write the JavaScript. I'll give it to you, okay, just so you know. All right, but you need to understand the concept because without the concept, none of this will make any sense. So JavaScript, just so you know, JavaScript, I'll just write it as JS, that lives in your browser on your local machine. JavaScript does not live on the server under the context that we use it. Node is JavaScript. It does live on the server. That's a whole different story, okay? But for our purposes, what we're doing tonight, JavaScript lives on your local machine, not the server. PHP lives on the server. So now here we have a dilemma. We have two different languages that we have to use, one for our front end, which is known as the client side or your computer, that's the front end, that's JavaScript, and another one for the back end, which is PHP. When you get into being a full stack developer, well, any of you who ever end up doing it, you're gonna have to know JavaScript and some back end language. Now, some of it might be PHP, some of it might be Node, doesn't matter, but the point is you'll have to do that. So this isn't an uncommon thing. Now the problem that we have with it, so we have to use JavaScript. Ajax, for the most part, most of it's written in JavaScript, that's the whole point. And we use that to send a request to the server for information, and then the server sends a response, and then we put it somewhere on the web page without reloading the whole web page. Most of the apps that I do are all Ajax. Almost everything I do on the web, not in this class because it's not where we're at, but in the real world is all Ajax. It's all Ajax. Okay.
So what we just did is not really relevant.
What's that?
So what we did with like forms and stuff is not really relevant?
No. What you did with forms as far as sending it through the form command in PHP isn't really so much relevant anymore.
Okay.
But, and that's why I have this little part here. This would actually, maybe this lesson might be better sent at the end of this class, but where I have it now. But the thing is I don't want to say it's irrelevant to like, well, you taught us a bunch of crap that we don't even need to know. No, this is what PHP does. It's showing you how PHP works, okay? But in the real world, yeah, you'll be doing probably Ajax stuff almost all the time.
All right.
Okay. But don't feel like you didn't learn anything, because you did.
No, I definitely did. It's just, I guess not all of it's applicable.
No, it's not, but it used to be. I mean, before Ajax, which was many years ago now, it was all like that. It was all page reloads, page reloads, page reloads. But JavaScript has taken over everything. JavaScript used to be laughed at. JavaScript used to be the crappy language, but they've improved it, you know. It's now ECMA 8, I think it is, and it was written by Douglas Crockford in like 10 days when it initially came out. And you know, it was for browsers, and they were all competing at that time for the right language. Now it's not the only language that runs on a browser natively is JavaScript, without a sandbox or some other thing to work with it. That's pretty cool. But anyway, That's why this is a piece of a puzzle. Okay, so anyway, it does a request, and then here's the, is the response, and the response is just whatever. So here's our problem. If I have a object in JavaScript, or even an array in JavaScript, or I have an object in PHP, or an array in PHP, how do I send that? Because I got two different languages. Now both languages can do objects and both languages can do arrays, but the structure for a JavaScript object is not going to be the same as the structure for a PHP object. It's not just going to be, oh, JavaScript object just works in PHP the same way. No, it's not. It's two languages that construct their objects differently. Do the objects do the same thing? Of course they do. But there's two different languages or different ways that we get them. So there's our problem, is how do we get this over here and vice versa? Because if I have an object in JavaScript I need to send to the PHP, or I need to get something in PHP and returned to JavaScript, how the heck can I do that? Because I can't send the object directly, because it doesn't know what the heck that is. So what we have to do is what's known as stringify. And what that means is we take this object or this array and we put it into a string and we ship it over to the server. Okay? Now when I went through this in one class and I was having them work on this assignment, one of the students who thought he knew a lot was basically told his friend in front of my earshot he doesn't know anything about JavaScript, meaning me. And I'm like, really? I said, why is that? He goes, well, all you're doing is flattening this array. And I said, okay, you show me another way that you're going to transport that to the web if you don't stringify. And that pretty much ended that conversation. All right, and I'm more than happy to be challenged, but it's, have a thought first. So anyway, we have to stringify it. So what we do is we stringify it in a certain language so that when the PHP gets that string, it can do what's known as parsing it and put it back into an array or an object. And on JavaScript, it's the exact same thing. It's going to have to be in some sort of format that it understands so that it can put it back into an object from that string. That's what it does, okay? That's what the stringifying does. And so there's two languages, two string formats that we typically use. There's the older one and the newer one. The old one is XML. I'm sure you've heard of it. Extensible Markup Language is what it stands for, okay? And it's used in a lot of different applications. Anyone can say Android Studio, because they use it there. It's used in gaming, it's used in web transfers, it's used in API calls, it's used all over the place.
I've done XML editing for games to hack.
Yeah, exactly. XML is huge in games. Why do you think that is?
Because it's easy to use?
No, because it can be parsed into objects.
Okay.
Yeah, it reads those files and it can create objects. Exactly, you hacked it, like Farm Simulator, to give you an example. If you want to, you can either do Farm Simulator two ways. You can build your farm up and take forever and not have fun with the machines, or you can give yourself $2 million of money in the XML file and have fun, okay? That's what the difference is. And now what do you think I do, okay?
Didn't JSON kind of replace XML?
Yes, exactly, okay? So the next one is JSON. JavaScript Object Notation. That has kind of replaced XML now. Not so much in some of those older formats, but definitely on most of the web stuff. And the reason is because JavaScript can parse XML, it absolutely can, but it's much slower than parsing JSON. It can parse JSON like that. Why? Well, because it's pretty much written in JavaScript. So there's a couple commands in PHP where we can encode and decode, which I'm going to show you, in PHP, some sort of object. Mostly it's objects. The arrays it can do too, but mostly we're going to deal with objects. It will take the object, it will parse it, or it will stringify it, send it over as JSON, and then we'll interpret it on this side. So we can do either one. This is the older format. This is older. My marker's running out. But this is the older format, and this is the newer format. Okay, older, newer. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. All right, and this is the XML, and this is the JSON. So we're gonna be looking at both, but mostly we're gonna be dealing with this, JSON. Okay, it's really not that hard. I know I said that before. So, I'll show you in the GitHub page. We're gonna start with the GitHub pages. I'll go here and then let's just show the working examples. Oh, this is my index. Never mind, I had it. Okay. So I'll show you the actual code file sitting here, and I'll show you it on the browser here. So if you go to my Russet page and you click on the Ajax, here's the Ajax example. And the first thing we can look at easily is just this data. So this is under the data folder right there on the Ajax examples. And if you look in there, I have books.txt, which is a JSON file. That could just be a text file. And I have books.xml, which is the XML. It's the exact same thing. So if you look at books.xml, you can see that when I click it, I have this XML. This is an XML structure. It's basically 3 books, and it starts off with this node up here, this element of books, and ends down here. And then inside of it, it has, here's one book, here's a second book, here's a third book, and inside of each book we have title, publisher, editions, blah, 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 all the way through. This isn't so important, it's just understanding that what I've done right here is I could technically query a database, have it spit back a record set. I can't send the record set, I can't send the database table via Ajax, but I can parse the database table, the record set, into an XML file and send that. How many of you have heard of REST? Not REST where you take a nap.
The API.
The REST API.
I've heard the word, I have no idea what it does.
Okay, so what REST does, say for example, I want to build an app where you can put in a zip code. I know there's a ton of apps that do this, but let's just say I want to build one. You can put in a zip code, and it's going to give me all the houses for sale in that certain zip code. And if I put in an address, it will give me all the comps on that address. So it will look at all the houses that sold in that area, give me the comparables, and kind of see what my house might be worth. Okay, it's a real estate thing. So if I want to do that for just the United States, that's not going to be too fun to build that database myself, is it? Good luck with that. That means I got to go find all that information manually, look it all up in the public records, and how long will that take? Oh, I don't know, a few years. It's not the way to go. But what I can do is I can go to a place like Zillow. This is just one of many. And Zillow has an API. And what I can do is I can write a little app on my computer that goes to my server, that makes a call, or I can make the call directly. I can also make the call directly.
So Zillow has like an API you can talk to?
Zillow does, yeah.
I've never done that, but that makes sense.
Yeah, oh, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. We wrote an app in one of my classes, my no class. We had to write an app where the students did, where you punch in a zip code, or no, you punch in an address, and it would give you all the information on a house, and then all the comparable.
So there's a node class that doesn't go in the CS degree works, because I would have noticed that. 271,
Web 271. Now it's not in the computer science, it's in the web program. Web 271. All right, I used to be in the web department. So, you have a Zillow API. So basically, what does Zillow do when you make a call to it? It takes the information that you're asking, whatever, the address or the zip code or whatever it is, whatever the API needs. It takes that, it runs it through their database because they've got access to all that MSL stuff. I think it's MSL listings, MLS, I think. And basically, it spits back the information for you to work with. How does it spit it back? As either JSON or XML. And that's how a lot of our apps work today, is we get information from other sources. I can get weather information sent back as a JSON file and parse it out to where I can put in a zip code and get and I wrote this in Android. I have this in my Android. I don't have the students do it. This is an older project I did, but you do that and it gets the information and it parses out and that's it.
When you call the API, that JSON file, does it just show up on your code, or how
Yeah,
does it work?
that's it. Basically just spits out one big long JSON file. So let me show you what it would spit out. It's either going to spit out XML, this, right here, sorry, that. It's either going to spit out that, or it's going to spit out that. That's JSON.
It will create a JSON file by itself, right?
Oh yeah, it creates the whole thing. Yeah, you don't have to do anything. You have to be able to read that and interpret it and parse it, and it's not going to be that. It'll be probably a lot more complicated than that. But what you guys got to think about is that JSON file is the exact same structure as that XML file was. Structurally, it's the same thing. Okay. It just doesn't have the books thing with each book, because basically it's an array of objects in JavaScript. That's what this is. That's all it is. Okay? This is an array, and then these are the objects. And so object 1, when it comes back, and you were to query this, and you come into this array, your first array, so index 0, would be this object, and it'd just be whatever you call this array, which I call it like books. You have books 0 dot title, or books 0 dot title, and that would spit it back. Well, you'll see it in a minute, okay? But what I'm trying to get you guys to understand is we're taking strings, okay? We're taking string information and we're turning it into objects, and then back again, okay? Taking an object, making it a string. So these are the two formats that we get.
So I know Python has a quick way to just say, like, turn this JSON into a dictionary. Does PHP have a similar thing where it just says grab it and pop it into an associative array or whatever?
Yeah, so basically you'll see it's encode and decode. It will take JSON and encode it, and then it will decode it. Yep, same thing. So these are just some data structures we're going to use in my examples, just to show you how they work. But I just want to let you understand that those are two common data structures that you're going to be dealing with if you're dealing with data structure. Now you can just send text too. You can just send and receive text, and it doesn't need to be any type of special objects. You're going to see all those examples tonight. Okay, so we're going to start looking at them. We're going to look at the first one, which is just this simple get example. Very simple get example right here. Okay, where I click get info. This is hello class. This is an Ajax request. Now, one of the things I want you to notice when I did this, I'll do it again. Look at up here. Look at if you see this page flicker at all. If it flickers, you know it reloaded, right? Okay, look for the flicker. Anyone see it? Anyone see the flicker? Nobody saw it?
I didn't see it. I didn't see any indication.
I'll do it again. Are you guys sure you didn't see it?
Really fast.
Okay, look again. Tell me if you see the flicker. No one
Don't
saw
know
it?
if I saw the flicker.
Nobody saw it?
What flicker?
I feel like
Okay, here's the thing. I'm really shocked, 'cause I thought I had bad eyes. Here's the thing.
I think there might have been something, but it was so fast that you didn't see it.
You don't want to say it. You don't want to say it. Here's the thing. If any of you saw a flicker, go see an eye doctor tomorrow, because there wasn't one. Because the page never reloaded.
That's awesome.
I was baiting you, okay? There is no
That's what I
flicker.
thought at first, but then you did it again, and it got me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no flicker. That's the whole point. This page doesn't reload. In PHP, we'd have a flicker. Why? Because it'd have to reload the page. Ajax, just like that. It's actually faster too, because it's not having to process all this page reload stuff. It just boom, the data. Let's look at how it's done. So this is the get example.
So
Come
this is
in
under
here.
data sources in the. So you were looking at data sources. What are the other folders you're looking at your GitHub, just so I can bring them up and I know what.
Right here, I just grabbed the other one. This get example PHP right here.
And that's from.
Ajax. It's right at the top. It's the
Oh,
top one.
Ajax, and that's data. Okay. I just
Okay,
wanted
now
to
look at notice this right here. See how it has an HTML file extension? Yeah, there's no PHP. PHP is involved, but not on this script. On this actual page right here that you're looking at, no PHP at all. And I'll prove that because I'll show it to you. Okay, so where is it? Here's get example PHP HTML. Here's the page right here. And you can see there's no PHP on here, but there is some JavaScript right here. There's the JavaScript. Now, when you write JavaScript, typically you have it at the bottom of the web page, just above the body. That's where you typically put it, and you actually abstract it to another file. But for this example, I wrote it on the page because I wanted you guys to be able to see it. So this is simple Ajax. Ajax API has been replaced by the Fetch API, but it's basically the same type of idea. And actually looking at the older way is beneficial because you understand a little more about what's going on when the Fetch API kind of hides it. So I have this basically, this right here, all I'm doing is I'm getting the element by ID, get info. Let's see, it happens to be that button right there that has the ID of get info. I'm grabbing that and I'm adding an event listener to it. This is all JavaScript. I'm adding an event listener to it, so when you click on it, it's going to do something.
So basically,
There's no
ID
submit.
is JavaScript's equivalent to name.
That's it. Well, you still have to use name. Don't get me wrong. You still
Well, no,
gotta
but
use
I'm
name.
saying it's basically
But it's how JavaScript ties to this.
JavaScript grabs the ID
by
and
the
PHP grabs
ID.
the name. Same
Yeah.
thing.
So when I click the button, it basically right here is looking for. It gets it gets this element by the ID. Get element by ID. There's what gets it. As the event listener, it's a click event listener. What's it going to do? It's going to call get info, and true just means it's just a bubbling thing. Which yeah, I'll say that for Web 2.7.1. If you want to learn about that. So we get into get info right here. Here's the function. I had this XHR variable. I don't remember what it stands for now. I think it's XML handler resource, but I might be completely wrong. So just it's a variable. This is actually really cool. Even though the Fetch API hides all this now, this is actually good just to understand, because back in the day, we used to have to, because we had Microsoft that was wanting to be proprietary, and we had all the open source guys like Chrome and Firefox and all those coming out, and they were fighting. Microsoft lost, by the way. Okay? And so what happened back in the day is you'd have to actually, because you didn't know what browser you might be putting this code on. What browser are you going to open this up in? And so they opened up in like something clunky like IE7. It should just pop up a message saying update your browser, but it doesn't. It would use this. But if it was anything else, it would use this. So the first thing this thing is doing is it's basically checking to see what type of request object are we going to be using, or request API are we going to be using. Is that important to you? Not really so much anymore, but that's why the code's there. You're not going to have to worry about, again, you're not going to write any of this. I will write all of it for you, but you need to understand it. So understand concept, not syntax. All right, so that's what that does. It calls the onReady state change function, which is, all the theory of this is in the book. It calls the onReady state change function, which basically is checking to make sure that, in this particular case, it's checking to say that the ready state is 4 and the status is 200, meaning it is good, it worked. There's a whole bunch of other error codes that I could write for. I just didn't, because this is an example and I want to overwhelm you with all the other code.
And it's getting that from a server that it's connecting to, right? So
Exactly what it's
Apache.
doing. Exactly what it's doing. What's it going to do when it comes back? This is if everything's okay. Then that means it returned something. That's what get means. Getting something from the server. I'm getting something. That's what get means, okay? So I come in here, document given by ID result, enter HTML, Microsoft developed that, by the way, equals this dot response text, okay, which we're going to look at in a little bit, where we get this response text. But basically it's referring to this as the object, and this result enter HTML is that right there. So it's going to take whatever gets sent back and put it in that little div right there. That's what it's doing. That's all it's doing. Okay, it's real simple. And then we're going to basically send it. Before we got to send it, what are we going to do? Well, what type of request are you doing? Get or post?
Get.
We're doing a get. It's right there. Where are we going to send it to? This PHP page right here. Don't worry about the true. And then here's XHR send, and here's our send method. And now it's sent it. So it's kind of weird. It kind of like, it's weird because you think you'd put this after, but actually you don't. You put this onReady state change here, you open, you send, and then it comes back. Okay, it's listening for that callback. So let's look at the PHP code. That was hard. That's it.
PHP is the...
Anything you want to be sent back from PHP via Ajax or via the Ajax process, you're going to echo it. No returns. Don't do return. You ultimately echo it. So now I just flipped the script on you. What was I doing before? Classes, return, return. Don't ever echo out of a class. And now I'm going, oh yeah, by the way, echo everything.
So why are we echoing it exactly?
Because for JavaScript, for that response to get it, you have to echo it out. You don't echo it to the screen. You're echoing it back to the server or back to the client. You don't use return. It doesn't understand what return means. I know it's weird, but in PHP, for Ajax to understand this stuff, you have to echo it back. It won't echo to the screen like you think, though. Because what you've done is you called this file asynchronously. You didn't actually go to it. Well, you did, but you didn't go to it from the page you're on. You sent, in a sense, you sent like a request behind the scenes, if you want to think of it that way. But you sent an asynchronous request to the server, and it's going to now echo out whatever you want to have sent back. So anything you're sending back, echo.
So that's gonna
return.
be put into the, okay.
Yeah, so what did it echo? It echo, hello class, this is an Ajax response. It sent that back, okay? It sent that back to the Ajax page, right here. Response text, this reporting to the object, this response text.
And it uses dot notation.
Yes, it uses dot notation. That's response text. Now, you're gonna see where it changes with the XML, but this is response text, which means it's just gonna take anything text and spit it back. This is the simplest Ajax call you're gonna probably ever see. It's that simple.
And this is that HTML file really, that php.html or something like that?
Yeah, this is for the actual HTML. It's get example php.html. That's the HTML file, and it calls get example.
Okay.
Okay, let's try another one. Let's go get XML PHP. Okay, so this one's get XML PHP. So let's run it first. We see what the heck it does. So we come back to here, get XML PHP, get XML, and look at that. I get my little bookstore back, or my little books. Okay, all nicely spit out. Now this isn't so easy. Again, just understand the concept. Don't get wrapped up in all the syntax. Okay, so we are coming in through here. We have the same event listener. We have this get info stuff. I got a few more variables I set up here. Doing a request. Here's where we come this on ready state change. And if everything works good, XML equals this. Look at this. Look at this. This response XML document element. You see that? That matters because that I'm saying I am expecting XML to be returned to me. And I got to specify that. If I don't, then it doesn't know what to do with it. So I have to specify that. Again, I don't expect you guys in this class to memorize that. Just understand what's happening.
So where are we making this request to? This is what I'm not, okay, so the XHR dot onReady state change equals function, and then,
That's where we're sending it. That's where we're sending the request to right there.
oh, okay, that's how we do it. So basically this.
This is what happens when it comes back. When it comes back, what are we going to do? We have to take that XML file and parse it out. And that's exactly what this is doing right here. Don't worry so much about the code. Take 271 if you want to get down to all this. So basically all I'm doing is I'm going through that XML file pretty much element by element, and I'm spitting the information out. Say like list, li, books, I, get elements by type name, title, 0, first child, no data. You know what? I don't care that you know any of that. All I care that you know is, oh, he's parsing the XML out and he's going to display it. And I just made a list.
Tells it to go, okay.
Don't get bogged down into this. This is where students go wrong in this particular lesson. Is that they bog down into this that doesn't have anything to do with them. What you need to understand, in the end, with a little bit more than that, is basically that. That's the file I'm going to.
Okay. So
Okay.
but that file, I mean, I just looked at that file, and that file just goes, it's just a PHP file with a header, and it just says, basically get the contents of.
File get contents.
Books.xml.
Right, which is what? It's this file right here, data book. Whoops, sorry, it's not the XML one. It's this one. Get the contents of this. Let's get contents to it. Spits it all out, right?
Get contents.
Get contents, if you remember, get contents spits it all out.
Oh, so I didn't know it spit it all out. So
Yeah,
it's
so
just
get
loaded
contents
into that.
of that file takes that entire, all that text in that file gets dumped into that
And
variable.
does it just make one long string? Or
Basically, that's it.
So it's a one long string.
It's one long string.
And then it's just like \ends or something for.
It doesn't even need that. The computer could care less.
Oh, that's right, it's XML.
Because it's XML, the computer's just going to parse it out. Could care less. Actually, the computer would prefer it all be one line.
So
The reason we indent stuff is so we can read it. Computers don't care. They don't want that.
They just
A
get
true
fast.
computer doesn't want that because it's just more crap it's got to worry about. Actually, it's fastest if it was just one long line.
Yeah, so it just goes.
But we'll never read that.
So yeah, so it grabs it all, puts it all into that, and then
And then you have to do this XML header. It's a little bit different. And then when I'm doing it, I'm echoing
So you
out the
echo that
XML.
whole line.
That's it.
And then that, okay, let's go back to the other code. Now I'm getting this.
Okay, so basically, to backtrack, I took this entire chunk of text, string, text.
String, made
It's
one
just
string.
one big long string of text. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't look at the line breaks, don't focus on any of that. It's just one big long line of text. That got shoved into XML, and then that got shoved into this, where it came back right here. That's why I had to add that response.xml, because what am I looking for now? XML specifically.
And then that goes.
And then that just goes through this long looping process where it's just gonna, because it doesn't need to have the structure that you visualize. That's why you guys get that out of your head. It doesn't care about all the indentations that you saw. All it cares about is, do you have a proper XML structure, which we do, and it's just gonna parse through it. Okay, it's basically, this is taken and put into an XML object right here.
And then it just, okay.
And it's just gonna go
I'm just trying to follow it.
and it's
See, okay,
spitting it all out.
So that response text basically says this is gonna be, okay, and then it puts it there, and now it's gonna say.
This is just different
But now
because
get
this is,
tag name by book, okay, and then it's gonna loop through that.
that's it.
While book stuff is length.
Keeps looping through. That's all it's doing. All those while statements right there are loops.
No, I know that, I know.
That's all it's doing. And it's just gonna parse it all out as one big long thing. So when you're done, what do you get? You get that. Here's the code. The source code.
It just dumps it.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's not the source code. Let me do it as this. You have to do, you can't do it as a source code because it was Ajax. So a source code only shows you what the server initially sent. It won't show you the Ajax stuff. The Ajax stuff is actually here in this in
So
spec
it's incrementing
under
the I somewhere?
elements, and it is
Well, I is
starting
less
at,
than books that length. Where is it incrementing the?
right here. Boom. I wish I could show you how it actually gets sent back. I might be able to find where they actually do it on the response because it's actually just one big blob of. I can console log it out.
Where's it incrementing the I? I'm not seeing, because it's like, I'm assuming books I dot get element tag name title, that's that number book in the array, right?
Right. Okay.
So I don't see the,
While I is less than books.length.
that makes sense. I get
Okay.
that.
So it comes through there, and right there on line 47, you got I++.
Yeah, I plus plus.
That's where it
47.
increments I.
Oh, there's J plus plus, okay, now.
See? That's an inner loop. Go ahead, one.
Oh, I see it now, thanks, okay.
So, why is the JavaScript embedded on the HTML file rather than in its old file?
Only because I wanted to make it clear for the students to be able to see the JavaScript right here with the HTML. That's the only reason. It was just to provide clarity for you guys. The way you should do it is put it on a separate file. 100% agree. Okay? It's just that it was easier for this class, for students not to have to jump to different files. They could just see this. But yeah, to your point, it shouldn't be like that.
And that code is already done for us, right?
It will always be done. Well, in this class, it's always done for you. You're not going to write any of this. None of it. Just learn how to read it. Okay? Just learn how to read it. So this is very much concept. This is, the PHP you're going to have to write. So understand what you got to write there. But even the PHP I'm showing you right now for your assignment, you're going to be doing something much cooler than that. So just hang tight. Gets better. All right. That's the XML one. Let's look at the next one, which is going to give us the same result. Come here, and we go get json.php. See that one right there? Okay. Get json.php, get JSON. Oh, gee, look, it's the same thing. Well, let's take a look at it. And it's worth it to look at these because these things will help you. So here's the get JSON one. This one gets JSON. You come down here, and it comes down here. Now look what we have. Books equals JSON parse this response text. Now all of a sudden it's something completely different. Okay, it's response text because it is text, but it's not XML. It's JSON, and we're using the JSON parse, which is a method out of JavaScript that parses JSON, specifically what it's designed for. Now let's go to get JSON here because that's what we call it, down here. PHP get JSON. It's right here. And file get. Yeah, this was a hard one. File get contents, databooks.txt, echo. That's it. So what did I do? Is I basically, wrong file. I basically just took this, dumped all that text, I dumped this whole thing into that variable and sent it back.
Isn't dump file? Okay.
And then what this does right here is it takes that, you see how much less code it is? It's so much easier to write this than XML. And it basically takes it right here, and as long as it can JSON parse it, which we're going to see what happens when it can, and it spits it out. Now, let's take a look here
Okay, so I see.
in our browser, real quick, and we'll go to console, and that's basically, I console logged it out, so there it is.
I was gonna say, couldn't we, instead of echoing through the PHP, couldn't you just console out the result?
Oh, I mean, instead of parsing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could, but the thing is, in this example, it wouldn't come out in this list format. It would just be spit on a page as an object, actually. So you would have to parse through it, but I mean, you'd have to make the object show. I mean, I'm parsing through an object. So could you do it? Yeah, but this is basically books right here is an object. Because otherwise, if it wasn't an object, I wouldn't be able to use length on books. See, books.length, that tells me how many nodes there are, or parts, okay? So books, this JSON parse takes that string of JSON and makes an object out of it. Does that make sense? That's what it's doing, okay? Let's screw something up.
Oh, it's gonna.
Oh boy.
No, because I want you to see what happens, because this is gonna happen to you, and when it does, I want you to understand how you deal with it.
That's what's really gonna happen.
No, you'll just send me an email saying, just like you did before, Scott, figure it out.
I don't know what to do.
I'm going to bed, figure it out.
I did spend an hour and a half looking. Okay?
And I spent 20 minutes, so there you go. All right. No, I'm just teasing. So we come here, we look at the console. What I'm going to do is, because this is what's going to happen, we'll come here and let's take, first off, we're going to take this out. I don't want to scope too much and then I forget. Kind of like my chest, I forget what I just did and then I wonder why my 9-year-old beats me. So anyway, this should fail. Right now, this should fail because I've aired out my PHP. This is going to happen. Now, normally this wouldn't be a big deal because you would have, and don't worry about the favicon, don't worry about that. Normally this wouldn't be as big of a deal in PHP because what? You would see the error spread at the top of the page. Let's see what happens now. I'm going to first hide the console, and I'm going to do this. And that's what I get. Undefined. What's wrong? Here's how you have to figure it out, and it's not fun. So we come up here. In fact, I should have done one more thing, but that's okay. Oh, gosh, I keep doing that. You right click and you do inspect. Firefox has an inspect. I'm used to Chrome. And you basically will see that. You won't see that. You're going to see that.
What does that say? I can't.
It says uncaught syntax error, JSON parse, unexpected character at line 1, column 1 of the JSON data. Basically tells you nothing.
So it
Actually,
says
that
it's
does-
line 1,
Tells you it's online.
column 1, but I mean, I'm saying it isn't at all line 1.
It's not at all. Right. And you'll get this error message for everything that gets sent back
Oh,
wrong.
great.
Okay, let me show you just real quick what you're actually going to get. So let's just come into here and let me do this, and let me do this. Let me save that. Okay, now let's do it again just so you can see what's going to happen. So let's go ahead and refresh that. Let's open up our inspect. It's the inspect right here. And I talk about this in my book. I tell you exactly how to do it. So you go to here. We have this. And in fact, in the instructions, I talk about it too. We go to our console, and I get Jason. This is what you're going to see. That.
The line's 3320.
Yeah. It says, okay, on ready state change, line 33, and get info, line 26. That tells you nothing. Was the problem in the JavaScript file?
No.
No, it was in the PHP file, wasn't it? The answer is yes.
Yes.
You guys can say yes in this class, okay? Yeah, the problem is in the PHP file. I didn't change anything on the JavaScript. I changed it into PHP, and I got that. Now, there's a couple ways that students handle this, okay? There's one of three ways. Two of them are wrong, one of them's right. The first wrong method is they see this, and despite me telling them don't do it, they start rewriting my JavaScript files that I give them. That's rabbit hole going down number one. Don't do it. I don't even care if you know JavaScript. Don't do it, okay? You're gonna waste a bunch of your time because that's not the problem, is it?
No.
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
Gosh, you guys, come on, you can talk in this class.
That's not the problem.
The JavaScript isn't the problem. So the students who decide I'm going to rewrite JavaScript because they know it or think they know it, they go down a rabbit hole immediately because they're fixing the wrong problem. They're fixing something that wasn't broken in the first place. It's kind of like, oh, my engine's knocking, so I guess I'll change my brakes. Right? Okay, so that's fail number one. The other one that isn't really a fail, it isn't a fail, but it kind of is they email me. And the reason I'm saying that is not because I don't want to help you, because that's the exact opposite. Of course I want to help you. But then again, I might not see that email for X amount of hours, and there's X amount of hours that's spent wasted. You guys could probably fix this. Okay? Now there's the third way, and it's the easy thing to do. This is what you do. You can either comment out that JSON parse and write, and actually in your homework file it's written for you. Console log this response text. That will show you what got sent back to the server, and it will show you in the console log. Do that. You can comment this out just to help give you some
Console
sanity.
log this response text, and where was that going to go?
The console.
To the console log. To that. And then what you do is just hit this again. Well, actually refresh your page, I'm sorry. Hit that again. And yes, you get your error, but what do you get here? Parse error, syntax error, unexpected token quote, echo quote, in home shape or public HTML, C2 examples, get JSON.php on line 3. This is the same error message that you would get at the top of your page. That's what got sent back.
Oh, so you say that. Let's see that one more time. Is that listed in the book? Because I don't think I saw
It's not listed in the book, it's listed in the instructions of exactly how to handle that problem.
So it's in the.
When I give you the
Assignment.
instructions for this assignment,
Oh,
it's in there.
okay.
It's literally written in there
So
too.
we will have a way to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, all you do, in fact, when you look at the solution file that I give you, oh, I forgot to update that, but I'll update it when I give it to you. When you look at the solution, or not the solution file, but when you look at the file I give you, it's actually, console log is written in there. And it's not commented out at all, it just fits to the console log as well. So it's all given to you, but you need to understand that, because these two rabbit holes right here, as much as I don't mind this one, are a big waste of your time. And this is what I want you to understand. You don't need to understand how to write JavaScript, you just need to understand to see what the heck the server error message is. So what do you gotta do? Okay, obviously my problem is here. We know what I did, because I did it in front of everybody. Do that, say that, come back here. In this case, we don't even need to reload the page, we can just do, we can actually clear that there, and then we can just do that, and sure enough, there it is right there. I don't know why it has books is undefined, but. Why did it say, it spit everything out? Oh, wait a minute, I did do something wrong. Oh, no, I did refresh. That shouldn't have mattered.
No, it's in the JavaScript, you commented on that.
Oh, I'm an idiot. Yeah, well, there you go. That's rabbit hole number 4. Thank you. That's what I get for being one step in my mind, one step ahead. There we go. Okay, so spit it all back out. All right. Just remember that. Please remember that. It's a really simple thing, but please don't. When I give you this solution, please don't go in and start rewriting the JavaScript. If I tell you don't have to write any of it, I'm dead serious. You don't have to write any of it. I don't care if you only like what I wrote. If you think I wrote this bunch of crap, fine, then just call it a bunch of crap, but use it. Okay? If anyone has a critique about it, I'll say, oh, well, I've been up for 36 hours when I wrote that, so that's why it looks that way. I will lie, okay? All right. Any questions at this point? I just want you to understand the PHP side, and so far it hasn't been very much. It gets better, not the JavaScript side. So we saw how to do XML, JSON, and just regular text. It was all pretty simple. Now let's take a look at posting information, okay? Post example, which is this one right here. So we'll come here, go back, and we get the post example. This we enter some text, like Scott, and we send it and get it. So what do? Well, we sent the information to the server, which is my name, Scott, and then it returned me back the exact same stuff. So it's a good example to get started. So this is a post request. So again, we take a look at the code. And the first thing we look at on that post example PHP is we come down here. Again, you won't have to write any of this, but what it's going to be doing is it's going to be getting this right here, and this data is derived, where do I have it? Right there, okay? So this is where I get the data out of that little box. You don't need to worry about that code either. Just showing you how I did it, okay? And then down here, I'm sending it. And I use this little data equals, this can be whatever I want, and then equals data, okay? Now, look at the PHP. It's going to make sense why I did that, I hope. Post example, again, look at the examples. Data equals post data. Data was my name. It's the same as a name attribute, except it was I just named it data, because it's usually when you do this, you never send all these individual elements. JavaScript takes all the individual elements of a form, packs them up into one thing, and sends it all in one shot. You'll see where I do that a little bit, okay? This, I just had one thing. So that whole name thing, remember we talked about the whole name thing, the name attribute, and that's what you guys have been doing all along? Doesn't apply here. It applies in the JavaScript side, but not on the PHP side, okay? We have post data, and that's getting us back that one data. You'll see other examples where I actually do send a bunch of information and parse it all out. We're not there yet. And then we're just echoing back what got sent. This is just echoing back what got sent. That's it. That's it. Real simple.
Print our post on that or whatever.
Yeah, you can do a print or post on that to see what's inside of it. But basically, post data, because I use data, and because it was just that one string, it's just gonna get that back. Normally what you're sending is an object of stuff. And then you gotta parse that object back out. That's a different, you will see that coming, okay? Right now I'm still sticking with a very simple, just sending text back and forth type stuff. Well, Jason. Okay. Just seeing what one I want to show you with that. Okay, we'll do the JSON object one, I guess. Because I got two of them here. I got passing out. Yeah, let's do this one first. Okay. So this is get JSON example. This example is the following: PHP read the JSON file, check to make sure the file is read. If not read, it creates a PHP outer message status of error and error message, encodes it. We're going to see it, so I'm not going to read all this to you. If read, it does all this. Okay. Important note: by using an object, we can send different information based on what was done in the back end. This right here is pretty much a lot of what you're going to be doing. So this you definitely want to understand. Get JSON, and okay, so just so you can see what happens. So you can see. Yeah. See, there's nothing at the bottom of this page right now. I click the Get JSON button. There it is. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at this one, because this one's going to be different. Not so much on the JavaScript end, but on the JSON end. So let's see, passing util object, or yeah, no, I didn't. Sorry, it was this one. Okay, get JSON object. So it comes down here, and we're coming through all this stuff, and basically we're using just a get statement at this point, and it's PHP get JSON object and then send it. So this is a get statement, so we're just receiving something, and we can see that I have this result right here, which is JSON parse response text. And I come down here, and if result master status equals error, do that. Otherwise, do this. This is important. This is what you need to understand, because this is huge. So what are we looking for? We're looking for something that says message or list coming back with our result. And we're looking for an object that's going to say master status. So there's two things this object's going to have, two properties, master status and message or list. Everyone following that so far? One object, two properties. One object, two properties. Okay? We good so far? Because this is important, because this is what you're getting. This is the only thing you're going to need to know how to read when it comes to this assignment is what am I asking for? The situation this project sets up is you're on a shop, good luck finding a shop that does this nowadays because you're expected to do both, where you have a front-end developer and you're the back-end person. And the front-end developer writes all JavaScript for you and says, here's my code, you write the back-end now. Well, you gotta know how to read at least what they did. Okay, let's look at the PHP side. So we come up to the PHP side, it is the get JSON object one right here, which is right here, and now it's a little bit more. Okay, first, JSON file get contents, data books.txt, it's grabbing that whole thing, but at this point right here, what data type is that JSON variable? At this point on line 4, what data type is it? No?
Assuming it's just
String.
Yes.
Just a string.
Yeah.
Okay, now, if I didn't get it, so which means that I don't have, say it might, sometimes I gotta write more than just this, but let's say I had the wrong path or something. If I don't get it, look at what I send back. This is like the whole key. This little piece right here is like everything. It's anytime you're gonna be sending something back to the stuff I write, this is it. What do I have here? Response equals object, write it just like this. And inside this little array, well, what do we have? We have one property that's called master status. See that? And it equals what?
Error.
And just make sure you do your syntax right, because this is what you are going to have to write. And then we have another one called message, right? And what's that say? Could not read file, right? So if there's a problem, it's going to send this back. And if you look at the JavaScript code, what's it going to look for? It's looking for master status equals error, spit out that. See how cool this is? It knows, hey, if you send back, because it's sending back an object of properties, this is how I can send back multiple error messages, multiple different types of information by using this object principle. And it's really slick, because it's like, okay, result master status equals error. Okay, document get element by ID, result inner HTML equals result message. Master status message, right there. Okay, now let's look at the rest of it. The rest of it, what I basically did is I then did JSON equals JSON decode JSON. Okay, and then what's it say? If all is okay, then create an object from the JSON file using JSON code. Okay, here we were just checking to see if the JSON file existed. If it was a bunch of string. If it didn't, what did we send back? We sent back an object. But, Scott, you said we can't send back objects. You're right. I created an object in PHP, and I encoded it right there to a string in JSON. And it understood it. So there's where I went from object to string. Now what am I doing? Taking a string and making an object out of it. So JSON now, I know I use the same variable name. This one was a string. I should call this JSON OBJ. But it takes this string and it creates an object out of it. And all that's happening here is PHP is now treating it as an object, as you can see right here. And it's parsing through and it's making one big long HTML list. I could have done the same thing on the server end if I just sent this back. See, you have a choice how you're going to parse your information. You can either parse it on the PHP side or you can parse it on the browser side. which do you think is going to be faster?
PHP side.
Yeah, the server side will probably always be faster. Depends on your computer. You guys with your, cool gaming machines that I don't have, maybe that's different, but most likely the server's going to be
So
faster.
you're saying decode is on the PHP side then?
This is encode and decode are both on the PHP side, not the XML side.
Okay, so then that's just gonna grab it and then.
Just grab it and put it into a big UL list, and then it's going to encode it back. See the response down here? It's the exact same thing as above. Master status equals success, list equals list. Notice I changed this one to list, and it equals a list, because the list was all this. It's just big blob of XML or of HTML. Just big blob of HTML. Goes into that response, encodes the response back into a stringify, basically a stringify in it, shipping it back. Jason gets that, reads the master status code, and by the way, master status, this is all Scott made up variables. I made that up. I made up master status. I've been using this type of system for literally years, passing objects back and forth, because there's a lot of times where I have multiple things I need to have get sent back and pushed to different parts of the web page, and this is how I do it. Okay, so I send that object back as a string, and here's my success one right here. It looks to see what master status is, and then it writes it. Master status can be whatever the heck you want it to be. It can be an error, it can be success, it can be this, it can be that. It's basically the first thing it looks for, then based upon what that says, the second variable is going to be what it's going to do with that information. But this is what you got to understand. You don't have to write this, but you have to read it. So what does this tell you? Now, since I've explained it to you, what are you looking for it to return? Right here. If you were to read that, what's it asking for? What's it asking for? What do you have to return from your PHP side?
Some HTML to put into it.
It may be HTML, it may not be HTML, but what I'm asking for is, from an object property perspective, what is it looking? There's a better way I should have said it. From an object property perspective, what is it expecting to get back?
Or is all.
An object with two properties.
That's it, an object with two properties. Okay, and what are the two properties?
The masters.
Error success.
You guys are so quiet. Say it like you have conviction with it. So what if you're wrong? Hey, I got beaten by two 9-year-olds at chess, and I admitted to that. So you guys are afraid of saying having a wrong answer in their class? Give me a break.
Error success.
That's the value. That's the value, but what properties are we looking for? Those are the values of the properties.
Message and list.
Message and list. And there's 3.
Master status.
Bingo. So it's either going to be master status and message if it's an error, or master status and list if it's not. That's it. So you guys, when you see this in the JavaScript code, what you guys have got to do is you've got to be able to look at this and say, okay, that's what I've got to return. How you get that information, that's on you. But that's what you're going to be returning. Does that make sense? I hope it does. If it doesn't, we're going to go through some more examples.
Good.
See you at 10 after 7. We'll be here till about 8:30 tonight.
Okay.
See you at 10 after 7.